Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. And I'm going to do this lesson titled, Receive the Engrafted Word. And I'm going to start with Mark chapter 7, verse 7 through 16. And this is Yahweh Shai speaking, and it reads, Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Verse 8, For laying aside the commandments of Yahweh, you hold the tradition of men, as the washing of pots and cups, and many other such like things you do. So Yahweh Shai was addressing the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and all the elders. He was addressing them because they were teaching people laws, but they weren't applying them to their self. Verse 9, And he said unto them, Full well you reject the commandment of Yahweh, that you may keep your own traditions. You see, we can't add or disannul to the scriptures. We can't take away what he already wrote. This was already written aforetime, and it was written for our learning. So we, through comfort of the scriptures, we might have hope. Let me read that again, verse 9. And he said unto them, Full well you reject the commandment of Yahweh, that you may keep your own tradition. Verse 10, For Moses said, Honor thy father and thy mother, and whoso curseth father or mother, let him die the death. So back in the time of Moses, when people dishonored their father and their mothers, or they went against those commandments, they were put to death. They were stoned to death. Verse 11, But you say, If a man shall say to his father or mother, It is Corban, that is to say, a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, he shall be free. In other words, you're saying, well, some people get to a point where they're like, well, I don't have to listen. I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to listen to what, because I got all the answers. So Yahweh Shai, he's making it plain in here. This is him speaking all in here. And from there, I'm going to go to I'm going to stay in Matthew. I'm going to jump over to stay in chapter 7, I'm going to read verse 12. And it reads, And you suffer him no more to do aught for his father or his mother. 13. Making the word of Yahweh none effect, through your traditions, which you have delivered, and many such like things do you. So he's saying, because now you want to change the way I said to do it from the foundation of the world, you want to change it and do it your way now, instead of doing it the way that I said how to do it from the beginning. Verse 14, And when he had called all the people unto him, he said unto them, Hearken unto me. And hearken just means to listen. Hearken unto me, every one of you, and understand. So he's pleading with them. He's beseeching them to understand, to listen and receive the engrafted word. And verse 15, There is nothing from without a man that entereth into him can defile him. But the things which come out of him, those are they that defile the man. So he's saying it's not what goes into the body that defiles the man, but the things that come out of their mouth. This is why he said to let everything that comes out of your mouth be edifying and uplifting, so that it may minister grace to the hearers. That's Ephesians chapter 4, I believe, verse 29. So he's letting us know, like, if you don't have something good to say, then don't say it. If it's not going to build the people up. We're supposed to be house builders, not tearing them down. Let me read that verse 15 again. There is nothing from without a man that enter into him can defile him. This is Yahweh Shai saying this. But the things which come out of him, those are they that defile the man. So that's what defiles a man, the things that comes out of his mouth. And then verse 16, If any man have ears to hear, let him hear. So Yahweh Shai is saying, if you got the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding like people claim to have, he's saying that they should listen. They should hearken to this. And from there, I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 11. Matthew chapter 11. And read verse 15. And it reads, Matthew 11:15 reads, this is my big study Bible, reads, He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Yahushua is saying the same thing. If you got ears to hear, he said you need to hear it. You need to receive this engrafted word, which is able to save your soul. And from there, I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 13, verse 9, and see what he said here. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Saying the same thing. Yahushua is saying the same thing over and over. If you can hear, you got wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, hearken. Just listen to what I'm telling you. Now I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 2, verse 7. Revelation chapter 2, verse 7. And it reads. Revelation 2, verse 7, and it reads. Yahweh, this is red letter again. It's Yahushua again. He says, he that hath ears, let him hear what the Spirit say unto the churches. This is him again. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life. So the ones that listen and continue to do it and not waver, just do the things he's saying. Not take bits and pieces, but do the things he actually says. Let me read it again, verse 7. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of Yahweh. And from there, I'm going to go to the book of Genesis. Book of Genesis, chapter 2. Book of Genesis, chapter 2. And I'm going to read verse 9. Genesis, chapter 2, verse 9. And it reads, and out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food, the tree of life, also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So see, back when he's in the Garden of Eden, see those trees, he said a tree is known by its fruit. But see, a lot of times people, and the trees are representing people. And he was like, don't follow the wrong ideology. You need to stick to the scriptures. Stick to the scripts. That's why Yahushua he was telling Peter, Matthew, Thomas, all of them, just follow me. Stick to the way I told you. Don't go and follow any other doctrine, any other ideology. Don't try to add to the Bible, and don't try to disannul. That's what he's saying here. And from there, I'm going to go back to the book of Revelations, chapter 3. Revelations 3. I'm going to read verse 6. And it reads, same thing. This is Yahushua speaking again. He that hath ears, let him hear what the Spirit say unto the churches. This is him. He's trying to make it plain. Like, listen to me. Don't change. Don't go off. Don't turn, bend, twist. Don't add. Don't delete. Don't disannul. Don't do anything. Just keep it the way I said to do it. Now I'm going back to Genesis chapter 3. Back to Genesis chapter 3 and verse 22. Genesis chapter 3, verse 22. And the Lord Yahweh said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. So once they went astray, see Adam and Eve, he told them the trees that they can eat. But he said of that tree of knowledge, he told them not to go mess with that one, because he had gave them instructions on what they can eat, and and they were supposed to eat what he told them, not to go into any other ideology. And see, that's what brought sin into the world, because they went against the commandments. That's what really happened here. They went against what the Lord said from the foundation, going and following all these other heathens and other nations and their ideology. And see, people chasing money, chasing women, doing all these things. They're into idolatry. All that stuff is the things that he hates. And he says we can't serve Yahweh and Mammon. And from there, I'm going to go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 22 and verse 23. Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 23. And that reads, O inhabitants of Lebanon, that makest the nest in the cedars, how gracious shalt thou be when pangs come upon thee, the pain as of a woman in travail. So now he's saying, because you want to do these things, now you're going to have to suffer. Now pains are going to come upon you. This is what he's saying through the prophet Jeremiah. And from there, I'm going to stay in the book of Jeremiah and go to chapter 6, read verse 24. And it reads, We have heard the fame thereof. Our hands wax feeble. Anguish hath taken hold of us, and pain as of a woman in travail. So now he's saying how now you're going to have to feel the pain, because he said from the beginning, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. And from there I'm going to go to Jeremiah chapter 4. Jeremiah chapter, that was verse 24 there. Now I'm going to go to Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 31. And that reads, For I have heard a voice as of a woman in travail, and the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child. The voice of the daughter of Zion that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands, saying, Woe is me now, for my soul is wearied because of murderers. So now, see, murdering is not always just killing your brother, shooting them or stabbing them. Murdering your brothers is speaking harshly towards them, or speaking harshly towards a akhwat, a sister. That's murdering. See, it's different ways of murdering. It's not just killing somebody. It's tearing them down with the tongue. That's a way of murdering. So let me read it again. Verse 31. For I have heard a voice as of a woman in travail, and the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child. Then now he's going back to the time. See, all this goes back to the garden, when Adam, it all started there. The voice of the daughter of Zion that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands, saying, Woe is me now, for my soul is wearied because of murders. But the Lord he's wearied. He's wearied because of all this stuff that's going on. Because our people won't hearken. They don't want to receive the engrafted word, which is able to save their soul. He's fed up with it. Now I'm going to go to the book of Isaiah chapter 1, verse 15. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 15. And it reads, And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide mine eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear your hand. Salaki, let me read that again. I will hide mine eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. See, the Lord does not listen to sinners, like he said in John 9:31. But if any man be a worshiper of Yahweh, and doeth his will, him he heareth. So when people aren't doing the things that are pleasing in his sight, that's the imaginations of their own heart. People, they can speak this, but they have to be doing what it says. You can speak the word all day, but if you're not actually doing it and applying it to your everyday life, he's not going to answer your prayers. He's not listening to sinners. That's what he's saying here in Isaiah chapter 1. And from there, I'm going to go to the book of Job, chapter 27, and verse 9. Job 27, and I'm going to read verse 9 in it. And it reads, Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away. So this is Job pleading to the Most High Yahweh. Put not thy servant away in thine anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O Yahweh of my salvation. So this was Job. pleading. He was pleading because Job, he was doing everything the Lord wanted. He couldn't figure out why he was going through it, but the Lord was trying Job, and he still was without sin. And from there, I'm going to go to Proverbs chapter 1. Proverbs, Solomon in chapter 1, verse 28 through 29. And it reads, "Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer." See, he doesn't listen to sinners. We have to hearken to the engrafted word, which is able to save our soul. Anything else is just the imaginations of people's own hearts. It says, "Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me." This is what he's saying through Solomon. Verse 29, "For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord." Because the people fear, he said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. That's when you're fearing the Lord, when you're actually doing it. And from there, I'm going to go back to Job. I'm going to go back to the book of Job, chapter 21, and verse 14. Job 21, verse 14, and it reads, "Therefore they say unto Yahweh, Depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways." So this is what a lot of people will say, like, well, we don't want to do it your way. We want to do it our way. Let me read that again. "Therefore they say unto Yahweh, Depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways." This is how people are treating him. When they're not receiving the engrafted word and applying it and doing it, they're saying, "Depart from us. We don't want to do it your way. We want to do it our way." And from there, I'm going to go back to Proverbs chapter 21. Proverbs 21, verse 22 to 23. And it reads, verse 22 to 23. "He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness and honor." That's verse 21, and I'm going to read to 23. Verse 22, "A wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, and casteth down the strength of the confidence thereof." When you're just tearing people down, that brings a house down. That doesn't build a house. When you're continually coming at people with harsh words, that tears them down. We're supposed to be house builders, not tear them down. We're supposed to exhort, edify, and reprove. We're supposed to correct when it's needed. And we're not supposed to justify the wicked either. It says it in Proverbs as well. "He that justifieth the wicked and then condemn the just, the both of them have committed an abomination." The person that's justifying them and that wicked person, they're both an abomination, the Lord said. So we have to be careful there. Verse 22, "A wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, and casteth down the strength of the confidence thereof." He brings their strength down and their confidence because he keeps tearing them down. 23, "Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles." So when you're watching your mouth, that's why James was saying the tongue is like a forest fire sent from hell itself. It can start a lot of problems when you're just that tongue. We have to be able to control that tongue. And from there, I'm going to go to Proverbs chapter 12 and read verse 13. And that reads, "The wicked is snared by the transgressions of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble." So if the one that can control his tongue, that's a just man. And he's going to come out of trouble. But the one that keeps going on with that tongue is going to destroy them. Because that's what it says. Let me read it again. "The wicked is snared by the transgressions of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble." So that's why that person that stays humble and just doesn't get into it, just has to sit back and, you don't always have to take it, but don't get into it. Don't fall into the trap. Let them, if they want to be that person and push all that salt and vinegar out, that's on them. But the Lord says every idle word that man shall speak, they're going to have to give account on the day of judgment. And from there, I'm going to go to Proverbs chapter 18, verse 7. And it reads, a fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snares of his soul. See, this is what the Lord is saying. So sometimes we have to just be quiet. So if you may have a thought, but you're supposed to take those thoughts captive and subdue those thoughts and crush them under your feet like Yahushua did. You're supposed to be able to hold that tongue. That tongue will keep you out of trouble. And now I'm going to go to the book of Matthew. Go back to what Yahushua said in Matthew 10. Matthew 10, verse 11 through 16. And it reads, starting at verse 11, Matthew 10, verse 11 through 16. And into whatsoever city or town you shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till you go thence. Verse 12, and when you come into a house, salute it. So he said, go ahead. When you go around some people, you go and you try the spirits. You try the spirits, see whether they are of man or of Yahweh. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. See what Yahushua is saying? So if they don't receive you, he's saying, take your peace back upon yourself. Verse 14, and whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words when you depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. If they don't want to hear the words, which is not our words anyway, this is the words of God, and they don't want to hear it, he's saying that just shake the dust off your feet. He said, don't go back around them. This is what Yahushua is saying. See, people get mad they're mad at Ariel for Ariel trying to be obedient. This is about what Yahushua said. He said this. In verse 15, verily, truly, I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. And then it reads in verse 16, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So he says you have to use wisdom when you're going around these people. And then he's not telling you to be a floor mat. He says, yes, we're supposed to gather ourselves together, O nation not desired. He said a lot of things, but he also said these things too. He said we have to eat the whole roll. So, and being obedient is eating the whole roll. And from there, I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 18, and I'm going to close after this. And I'm going to read from verse 1 through 11. This is Yahushua again. And at that time, starting at verse 1 through 11. At that time came the disciples unto Yahushua, saying, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Now he's going to explain something here. And Yahushua called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them. Verse 3, and he said, verily I say unto you, except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. So being a little child, you have to humble down and be taught. You have to be able to receive the engrafted word. You can't keep rejecting it. This is how you become a little child. Verse 4, whosoever therefore shall humble himself, see, Yahushua is saying it. It's just I read. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as a little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. He said that person is going to be great. The one that has humility, not the pompous ones and the arrogant and proudful ones. They're not gonna get there. Verse 5, and whoso shall receive one such little child in my name, receiveth me. So Yahushua is making it clear, when they receive you, they're receiving him. But then they're rejecting you all the time. They're actually rejecting Yahushua. See how this goes? He said to make it plain in Habakkuk and write it upon the tables. And that's what I'm doing. I'm making it plain for you to hear it. Verse 6, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones, which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. See what Yahushua said, how serious he takes it when people offend one of his believers? When they offend one of those little ones? Because we're little ones to him. Verse 7, woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. He said, offenses are going to come, but he said, destruction is coming to that man that does those offenses, that attacks those little ones, that attacks the apples of his eyes, that attack the prophets. That's what he's saying. Let me read verse 7 again. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. This is Yahushua saying this. Verse 8, wherefore if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off, and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life, whole or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire. He's not telling you to go in and cut your hand off, or go in there to the bathroom like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator and cut your eye out. He's just telling you if you have a problem, he said you have to get rid of every weight and sin that so easily ensnares you. That's all he's telling you. If you have a problem with something, like malice towards somebody, you need to go and pray. Lord, help me to get along with that brother. Lord, help me to love that aqua. Lord, help me with these feelings that I'm having. Help me get rid of these feelings that I have towards them. Verse 9. If thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life with 1 eye, rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hell fire. And that eye is talking about how if you have a wandering eye, eyes that just can't stop lusting towards people, you should stop looking at them, not pluck it out. Stop looking at them. Just turn your head, put your head, close your eyes. Whatever you have to do to stop doing it. Verse 10, take heed that you despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father, which is in heaven. So Yahushua is saying how he really, we're near and dear to him. And he loves these little ones. And if people come and bother them and attack them, he's going to recompense them. He's going to take action on them. That's what Yahushua is saying himself. Verse 11, for the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. This is why he came. He came to save the lost sheep of the house of Yasharallah, of Israel. And with that, I hope you are all edified, and I'm going to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Shem, Hamashiach, Yahushai, Shalom.